Probably not his fault. Yes, shady baby. That's what I'm saying, like. No, I can only guess what Darren Till's been through at the hands of that Colin Heron, mate. But the reports I'm getting back, like, on the gym, never mind just... Look, you used to have Darren Till, Smelly Belly Kelly, and all the others, some proper naughty fighters in there over the times. Now, it was like a private gym. It weren't an open door gym. It weren't like that MMA gym down there where your kids can go in and pay £2. You know, you had a stable of fighters, certain mindset, certain collection of individuals that all behaved in the same fucking way and done the same dirty shit, all that. So what they do when they get a new kid in, without the new kid knowing, these would be gambling like hundreds and thousands of pounds, like £1,000. You can't knock him out. So you'll have these 12 or 15 fighters that are in this gym all the time. Now they've got a new kid in. So when Paul Kelly's gone in there for his first time, he will have been bullied to fuck. Bullied to fuck. He won't admit it because he's that little dickhead, isn't he? He's that way inclined. But he will have got bullied to fuck. And what happens is, what they used to do was, they'd gamble on the kids who could knock the new kid out. Serious. You'd have these Darren Tills and all that trying their hardest to drop this kid, knowing there's like a little £3,000 wager on it in the cloakroom, if you like. That's all fact, that. That's definite, that. That happened to loads of people that went in there. Half of them couldn't suffer it and bailed. Half of them fucked off from the gym, never fought again. Just ended MMA, full stop. There's loads of kids, mate. I remember 2 kids. Desi was one of them, I reckon. Done a bit of jail with that Desi. He's a mainhead now, him, that Desi. Little kid with black hair. Smart ass kid. Remember him and that blonde haired kid, the scabby kid. Probably 2 partners in crime, them now. West Derby, Eighton. Desi and that blonde-haired kid. But there's loads of them lads, loads of lads that have suffered horrendously at the hands of Darren Till and Paul Kelly and Terry Etten and Boom Boom Cahoon and all these fucking madmen from years ago. Desi, that's his name, yeah? Desi. Little Desi, lad. How are you, Munro? You good, lad? Munro, Liverpool. Nice guy, Jimmy. I'm sorry, mate. Just talking about the dickheads in Liverpool, mate. And if you think about the amount of people that's come at me in the last few years and where they all function out of the rotunda. It's mad, isn't it? So Billy Moore was training in the rotunda when he started attacking me years ago. Darren Till and all that was there. Because I spoke on them as well, haven't I? I spoke on them as well. The Smiths and Joe McNally. So they've got problems with me, haven't they? Like them Smiths are just fucked up cokeheads, aren't they? And anyone from Walton and Kirkdale will tell you exactly the same as I'm telling you. Yes, husband. You know, they're a gang of fucking bullying bastards off the Easby estate. You know, knocking little fucking helmets out in a Saturday night in the boozers and off the barn, it's coked up, thinking they run the fucking gaff, giving little helmet slaps and shit like this. It's what they're like, lad, trust me. Joe McNally. I used to know Joe Mac, the dad, senior. Used to go everywhere with Joe Mac senior. I've been to Joe Mac's house, he probably doesn't remember me. They used to live on Fountains Lane, I think, on the Easby estate, near the bottom. They had the bottom house where Joe Mac used to live with his wife years ago, and young Joe used to live there. in the same house. So I've known them for years. Used to go. The first time I ever went to Toxteth, Joe McNally Senior took me there. Because Joe McNally Senior was like Jamaican. He weren't Jamaican, but he was basically surrounding himself with the Jamaicans most of his life, so he could speak patois and all this stuff. Joe McNally was like, fucking, what a machine he was, mate. When we were kids, he's just powerful, man, him, like, big, massive, bar 6'5" or something he was, I can remember. Big red head on him. This big fucking muscular man, Joe McNally. And he was always round Tommy. He's always round Tommy Gilday all the time. And because I was round Tommy, I ended up floating with Joe loads of times. And he took me to meet this Panama, some black kid from Granby Street. Used to own all the security in Toxteth. And that's the first time I met Panama. Well, anyway. I was speaking, when I was doing Unsolved Murders, I started speaking about Joe Selkirk. So when I'm speaking about Joe Selkirk's dad, because his dad got shot dead by a Scottish gangster from years ago, so I'm doing a thing on this unsolved murder because it's unsolved. So when you've heard me screaming about unsolved murders, one of them's to do with Joe Selkirk. And because I'm speaking on Joe Selkirk, Joe Selkirk Jr., who was training at Kirkdale ABC with these, Joe McNally and all that. So it's like loads of things I've discussed, like murders and shit like this, has irritated the shit out of all them. Like this is what went down. Like, it's not lies, you know. So Joe Selkirk was one of the best boxers you're gonna find in fucking Liverpool. I don't know what happened to that kid. Well, I do. Drugs fucked him, basically. Drug dealers fucked him. He started getting his man's house shot up and all that fucking daft shit. You seen it years ago with loads of little boss fighters, you know, the drug world ruined their careers. Why? Because the boxers were the bullies, basically. But they weren't all bullies. So listen, see, years ago, like if you were growing up on the Grisdale estate, you had the Burkes, and the Burkes used to run around bullying every cunt. That's what they done. They were looked on like they were hardest. So the kids that didn't go to the boxing gym or couldn't have a scrap, I could have a scrap. I'm having straighteners with them all. Me, when I'm a kid, I'm having straighteners with all these boxers. But if you couldn't have a scrap, you were just a victim. So what happened is, the drug dealers started using weapons against the fighters on your estate. So now you started getting fighters getting stabbed up and shit. And basically, you had a lot of fighters getting fucking roped off by drug dealing gangbangers with weapons ruining them. Like Joey Ainscough was one of them. He was a boss boxer. He came from a family of boxers, Joe Scow. I had him pure straighteners in Major Leicester. But he's part of Billy Moore, Ken Wright, that's all the same firm. Do you get what I'm saying? But Joey Ainscough, Pancake and all that, stabbed him up to fuck years ago and ruined his fucking career. Nice guy, Jimmy. I've got a cold, haven't I, lad? I've got a head cold. Excuse me.